Yo, what's going on, guys? Seabass Hawk here. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys a complete guide on how to play and get better at Multiverses. Whether you're a beginner or you've been playing for a while and just want to learn something new, this video has it all. I'll be leaving some timestamps down below, so if you already know one of the tips, just jump ahead to the next one and see how it goes. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get right into it. Let's start off by talking about the different fighters and classes within Multiverses. There are currently 16 playable characters in the game, with more leaked characters like LeBron James, Rick Sanchez, and many more coming very soon. However, each of these characters have a very unique skill set and playstyle that are mostly determined by their classes. But what are classes? Currently in the game, there are 5 different classes, and each class provides a very different playstyle depending on how you want to play the game. Firstly, we have the Bruisers. These characters are usually pretty straightforward and easy to learn, and seem to have an advantage over some characters because of their unique special abilities, but more on those later. Next up, we have the Tanks. These characters are designed to take a lot of damage and then do just as much damage back to their opponents. These characters are a lot harder to ring out, and if you choose to play this class, make sure you're prepared for a very, very offensive battle. The support characters are basically the opposite of tanks, as they try to play as defensively as possible, all while buffing their damage dealing teammates with shields or healing. Next up are the Assassins. These characters deal damage like no others. The main purpose of this class is to get as much damage on your opponent as possible in the quickest amount of time. These characters like to get up close and personal with their enemies, as they thrive in close range attacks. Lastly, but definitely not least, we have our Mages. Unlike the Assassins, these characters thrive in attacking from a distance and provide a good distraction for your teammates to deal more damage. Learning their tricks can be pretty challenging, but once you know them, nobody will be able to stop you. There are tons of different ways to attack in this game. However, the main two are light attacks and special attacks. The main use for light attacks is to build up as much damage as possible before using your special attacks that will ring out your opponents and hopefully win you the game. Perks are what make Multiverses so different from any other platform fighting game, and really makes the game stand out. These perks make you and your teammate stronger, and by using the same perk as your teammate, you can improve the strength that each perk will have on your game, and help you win more games. There are currently 4 different types of perks in the game. The first type of perk is offensive. These perks rely on damage building and strength. They're meant to help you improve the amount of damage done on enemies and hopefully knock them out faster. Next up, we have defensive perks. These perks focus on helping your character survive for as long as possible by offering both buffs and handy passive abilities, assuring that your team comes out on top. Utility perks are very different from the other 2 I've already mentioned, as they focus more on movement and availability of attacks. They can also feature some situational buffs to help you get out of a tight situation and hopefully get you the win. Lastly, the coolest perk in my opinion are the signature perks. These perks are exclusive to their characters and effects are directly related to your respective kit on that character. Some of these perks include Superman dealing extra damage to those he has frozen, Arya Stark automatically stealing an enemy's face after defeating them, and so many more cool ones. Similar to most platform fighting games, this game works with health bars as well as stocks. Your health bar will tick up as you take damage, and the more health you have, the easier it is to knock you out of the map, causing you to lose a stock. Depending on the game mode you are playing, the amount of stocks will vary. In solo battles, you will have 2 stocks, and in duos, you will have 4 as a team. The goal is to get rid of all your enemies' stocks by knocking them off the map before they get rid of yours. Buffs and debuffs are super important to learn since they can make or break a game. There are 11 general buffs and debuffs, as well as multiple character-specific buffs and debuffs. These 11 buffs and debuffs include Armor, that can stop you from being affected by attacks and will reduce the damage taken, Attack Decay, that stops you from spamming a certain move too many times, Cleanse can remove any debuffs on you that might have been damaging you or your play, Electrical and Fire debuffs deal damage over time and can really hurt you if you aren't careful. The Frozen debuff freezes you in place for a few seconds, making you vulnerable to oncoming attacks. The Healing buff, well, heals you. Invisibility buff, typically used inside of a smoke, hides the character and damage percentage. Shielded buff is a stronger form of armor which blocks both knockback and damage from the next hit. The slow debuff reduces the movement speed of any characters or projectiles that are affected by it. The stun debuff freezes a character in place, and similar to the freeze debuff, makes you vulnerable to more oncoming attacks. And lastly, the weakened effect debuff stacks decay over time and weakens your moves the longer you have it. Finally, you're probably feeling pretty overwhelmed and wondering where you should get started. I recommend starting in the lab, which lets you use any character you want. I would take the time to learn every move your character does and try and get a feel for how your character plays. And once you feel ready, get out onto the battlefield and win yourself some games. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I was able to teach you guys a little bit about this awesome game. If so, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.